Hello and welcome to Towards a Better India. This video of mine focuses on the problem of dust in India, which is extensive at the moment, and probably to quite an extent it is unprecedented, because I really haven't seen this kind of construction activity which is taking place in India at the moment anywhere in the world. And believe me, I'm a really well traveled person, and I constantly travel out of the country all the time. And at this particular point, I see so much of frenzied construction activity, which for me is the primary driver behind so much dust being generated all the time. And it's true, no matter which city you might be in, whether you're in Delhi, whether you're in Bombay or Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata. I've seen this kind of extensive real estate activity which I see at the moment in India. I don't see it anywhere, and somehow I really feel that the way things are done is that abroad, whenever there's any sort of construction activity, it is done in a much more planned and organized fashion. And plus, what I've particularly seen, a case in point being Dubai, where you have same South Asian laborers going there and actually working on these construction sites, but somehow everything is covered up in such a manner that dust generation is minimal, absolutely minimal, and it somehow does not escape the immediate surroundings. Here we have construction done in such a way that you have dust flying all around, and that is probably, while real estate activity may be one of the primary drivers, I also feel that there are other factors which are responsible. One, in India, probably is one of the few places in the country where I've seen too much of open, uncovered surfaces, especially in urban areas, and I don't see this anywhere else. Everywhere be it Europe, US, Australia, or most Southeast Asia, what I see is that things are covered, things are paved, and you just don't have scope for the free dust or that mud to be dry mud to be generated. And believe me, till the time I had not traveled, I didn't feel it much, and probably that is the reason many of you will also feel that what is this guy talking about. But trust me, the problem of dust in India is way too much. The amount of dusting that we have to do within our homes, one day you just don't clean up and you'll notice the difference. And this is something which you really don't see abroad. You can actually probably week, 10 days, 15 days, you can just chill and you will still see that things are just spick and span, because there is no dry dust. And one of the most alarming things for me is the kind of respiratory problems which either many of us are already having or are very likely to have in the future. This is something which is really terrifying me, because I don't see this kind of dry dust and the atmospheric pollution which I see in India, and I feel something really needs to be done. There's vehicular pollution already. There's so much of this construction activity which leads to so much of dust, and you've got too much of open grounds. You have to have a system, especially in urban areas, where things are completely, you have a road, then you have a footpath, then you have, say, buildings. Abroad, I've practically never seen, believe me, I've practically never seen. And any of you abroad, or those of you who've traveled outside of India, you will probably relate to as well as agree with what I'm saying, that there I hardly see uncovered ground. I almost entirely see, and if in case that portion is not paved or concretized, at least I see grass there. So again, there's no scope for mud to be generated. But here there's no grass, and yet it is not paved, it is not cemented, there's no concrete put on it. Outside you have these cobblestones. Across almost the whole of Europe you'll find these cobblestones, especially in the heart of the city. Outside you'll have these if it's a residential area, you'll find beautiful homes which are again covering the entire surface in such a manner that there's practically no scope for dust. And believe me, this is a very important and a significant problem which I feel can have really major repercussions. So we really need to think about this, and ideally, take certain actions where we cover things properly. When when there's construction activity happening, the entire facade is covered up. You have these sheets, sheets of plastic, which I've seen abroad, which they cover the entire building which is being constructed. But today, in India, there's so much of construction activity, be it residential houses, be it commercial complexes. There's frenzied construction activity taking place all over the country, and I feel it's one of the biggest generators of dust in India at the moment. So all of these things, this is something which we really need to think about, and ideally we should try and get things under control as soon as possible. Otherwise, I feel there'll be some major problems which we'll have to deal with, especially respiratory issues, which I think maybe my generation or the next generation will face with reasonable amount of certainty unless things are done. So please, think about this. Thank you.